Toronto Raptors fans have been lied to, or at least not given the full story, as a report that has come out from the Toronto Star has shed more light on terms of the Pascal Siakam discussions that have been brought up in recent weeks. So we'll discuss that, including a massive win for Team Canada in international action, getting an overtime victory over Germany, and having RJ Barrett go absolutely nuclear. In fact, I'm currently in the Netherlands, pretty close to all the games that have been going on, so probably should have caught these Team Canada games action, but it was certainly a good one, so we'll break it all down in this video. So without further ado, let's jump to the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is Raptors fans being lied to. And this is fairly interesting. As Toronto Raptors fans know, Pascal Siakam has been leading all the discussions, all the chatter over the last few weeks in terms of whether or not he'll get extended, whether or not he'll get traded by the Toronto Raptors. Is he with the team? Is he not? And a couple of these pieces, nuggets of information that we've heard, more context, more light has been shed on the situation by Doug Smith of the Toronto Star that gives us more details in terms of what we can think about Pascal Siakam's future with the team and everything going on with the organization. The big news that dropped last week was that the Toronto Raptors rejected a big trade from the Atlanta Hawks that would have sent DeAndre Hunter, AJ Griffin, and draft compensation to the Toronto Raptors in return for Spicy P. Well, Doug Smith, answering some mailbag stuff for the Toronto Star, came out and discussed this trade report that came from Shams the Athletic, who is one of the most well-respected reporters in the entire NBA. And basically, he came out and said, talking about the trade that potentially happened, and there's a couple things that even armchair GMs know, including Doug Smith, that the CBA rejects a deal because it's about $20 million light in terms of the salary that the Atlanta Hawks would have to give out. So the Atlanta Hawks, if that deal were to happen, if that was the framework for a potential package for Siakam to the Atlanta Hawks, that would also mean that Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, or DeJounte Murray would have to be involved in one of these packages, which would certainly change the deal. And, as Doug Smith brings up, another Masai Bobby questions and all that the professional insiders and all that sort of stuff are just not super reliable, according to Doug Smith. So that's fairly interesting, and yes, probably something every Raptors fan should have picked up on in terms of the deal not evening out in terms of money, but Shams is one of the most locked-in guys in the NBA, so I'd be surprised if he's just throwing out hypothetical trade packages willy-nilly like Bleacher Report. I believe this was likely a framework that the Toronto Raptors would have received DeAndre Hunter as well as AJ Griffin, maybe some salary filler from elsewhere. There could be 3-team deals. We also heard about the Dallas Mavericks being hopeful, optimistic that a Raptors trade would go through, so Clint Capella could get sent Toronto down to Dallas, and more packages, deals could happen along those lines. So yes, it makes sense Doug Smith criticizing the take from Shams that, hey, this deal doesn't really make sense in terms of how the money works, but I'd be absolutely shocked if that wasn't a package that at least was the central framework for a Raptors-Hawks deal. But something to be intrigued by, something to be interested in, talking about, hey, Doug Smith brings up how the Raptors don't leak anything. These insiders, these reporters are just pulling things out of thin air. And yes, the Raptors don't leak anything, but I don't think the Wojs of the world, the Shams of the world, be making this sort of stuff up. Now, we've seen Chris Haynes sort of pull out some random things recently. He was regarded as a guy that was fairly trustworthy, come even just last trade deadline and stuff. But, we're still waiting on that Gary Trent Jr. extension that he reported come the July 1st, as well as Chris Paul being waived by the Phoenix Suns, because obviously he was traded a couple weeks later rather than being waived. So, you can't fully trust the reporters, everything that happened along those lines, but definitely was a little bit misleading in terms of how Shams put out that package. Should have shed more light, more details in terms of how the financials would have all shaken out. So, if you're putting out full deals that you're going to be putting in tweets to gain a lot of traction, have guys like me reacting to it on YouTube, give us more juice, give us more details there, Shams. So, Doug Smith calling him out there, and also talked about the chatter about Pascal Siakam not being around the team, especially coming from Michael Grange this summer. And it was especially shed light on when the team was down in Vegas. Pascal Siakam wasn't in that gym that the Toronto Raptors built during the Vegas Summer League, where a lot of the Toronto Raptors players were coming in and out to get in workouts during the offseason, hang out with the young guys, and sort of have things rolling along those lines. And Pascal Siakam wasn't there. Grange basically said, no, he's not working out with the team because it'd be embarrassing if he's down with the team, gets traded. Similar to DeMar DeRozan cheering on the young guys and getting traded a week later in Summer League action. So basically, Grange said that Siakam didn't want that to happen for himself, but he is working out with the Toronto Raptors players this summer. As Doug Smith coming out and basically saying that it took one text and maybe 5 minutes to find out that, in fact, Siakam is indeed in Los Angeles. He works out and plays on a team with Scotty Barnes and Chris Boucher after the full group does its stuff. And it's in the same regimen he's been doing since 2020. He does his stuff individually after the group that's there, and it's never everyone. It has its time. So basically, Pascal Siakam, he's down there working out with the team. We shouldn't be worried about him not suiting up with the Toronto Raptors players. Until a trade happens, Pascal Siakam's locked in. And yes, it will be weird. There'll be some tough questions that have to be answered, especially to Masai Ujiri if Pascal Siakam doesn't get extended before we enter this current upcoming NBA season. But we can all expect that Pascal Siakam is likely going to stay, and these rumors and talks are all going to continue happening over the course of the summer. But let me know what you guys think about all this Pascal Siakam drama. Raptors fans are kind of being misled and stuff that has been going on in recent weeks. But do you think Pascal Siakam will be a Toronto Raptor come the start of the season? Let me know in the comment section below. But the next thing we're taking a look at is Team Canada having a massive, massive victory over Germany, and they suffered a loss at the hands of Germany, earlier in these sort of FIBA matchups, but got a little matchup again, playing in Germany, and I'm mentioned at the start of the video. Currently in Europe on vacay, living it up, and could have been close to a little bit close, definitely closer than I would be in Newfoundland, to this FIBA action. So might have to try and sneak a game, take those high-speed trains, hit these spots. But man, Canada came out and got a massive, needed W. They beat New Zealand as well with a nice win, but RJ Barrett, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went absolutely nuclear. The team was down by about 6-8 points, down late in the fourth. They were running small ball units. Melvin Edgem out there edging out Kelly Olynyk to close out the game, and holy smokes. They came back. RJ Barrett hitting left-hand layups, possession after possession, whether all the defense was loaded up on that there. RJ just found a way, Manu Ginobili-esque, if we're talking international action, but just found a way to get to that left hand, get to a spot, and finish in the lane. It was bucket after bucket after bucket. And, the Raptors, Team Canada, I always interchangeably use the Raptors and Team Canada when I'm talking about national team action. But, RJ in this one went crazy. If you look at his stats, 31 points and a monstrous 13 of 14 shooting from the field. And 90% from two, 100% from behind the 3-point line, had 5 rebounds. Didn't really need to make any assists because he was just getting buckets left, right, and center. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not the most efficient night, but 25 points himself, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Showing off, being the top guy he is, especially with Jamal Murray out. Lou Dort, I also thought had a very solid game coming off the bench, doing his thing out there, playing great defense, getting some boards, 6 rebounds for Lou Dort. And while Kelly Olynyk had 21 points, 6 of 11 shooting, right? The Team Canada is still very thin out there on the front lines, and Lou Dort is a huge addition to this squad. You can't deny it. He's out there hustling, doing the JYD junkyard dog type of things out there for Team Canada. And yes, he airballed a 3-point shot down the clutch of this game, which was certainly an OG's moment of the night for this one. But I don't know. I like this. I wish we had more roster sort of parity. Like, our guards are absolutely loaded with RJ, Shai. These dudes playing at a remarkable level. Yes, we have Kelly Olynyk. Edgem has been a nice surprise and all this types of stuff. But having a couple more bigs, the Chris Bouchers of the world would be a huge, huge plus. And, we played a good team. We played a good team in Team Germany, and they have a Toronto Raptor over there on Germany as well, and Dennis Schroeder, who had himself a night as well. Just 25 minutes of action, 26 points, 8 assists, and he knew that the Team Canada, or I guess the Team Canada fans, have a lot of overlap with Toronto Raptors fans, and he wanted to show out for the squad. And he's had some big moments in international action to really put him back onto the scene after he played himself out of the league there for a year or so when he bounced around from the Celtics and the Rockets. But he had a monstrous performance. They have the Wagner brothers over there in Germany. So Team Canada getting this win is huge for their move down to Spain. So hopefully they are able to get a few wins, and we get Jamal Murray back, and we get some guys rolling. I'm a little bit shocked how poorly these games and this tournament has been promoted, at least to Toronto Raptors to Canadian fans, Team Canada fans. But I don't know. It's a lot of good basketball, a lot of encouraging action. Dylan Brooks is also on the squad. He in this game, Dylan Brooks in this one. The stats, 8 points, 3 of 8 shooting, doing classic Dylan Brooks things. Off the bench, a lot of guys that, Nickeil Alexander-Walker went 1 of 8, which is pretty ugly there. We have the Scrub brothers not getting any action, but Zach Edey, 2 minutes. Having some more guys in the front line. I mean, he got cooked in terms of 2 minutes -5 for the game. I don't know. It is what it is. But Dwight Powell's also not really been cutting it. He's been cooked in certain games as well. But Team Canada, beef up the front lines a bit. If we could have a more well-rounded roster, would be perfect. But the amount of talent, the amount of guard depth that we have on the squad is something to be encouraged by as we enter these big games that are coming up. But folks, let me know what you guys think about all this Pascal Siakam news, about Team Canada potentially making a push out here in this international action. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.